Ku Klux Klan's scheduled march from the Washington Monument to the Capitol. Organizers of the counter-demonstration say they hope to follow KKK marchers along their Constitution Avenue route. Up to 300 Klansmen will be guarded by 800 local police officers.
I'm just pulling cuts from the
American Marines boarded an Iraqi vessel after the tanker failed to follow orders to stop.
The Navy frigate USS Reasoner and the Australian guided missile frigate Darwin fired warning shots across the bow of the Iraqi merchant vessel Hamaraya in international waters adjacent to Masira Island in the North Arabian Sea.
Navy Commander J.D. Van Sickle says the ship was allowed to steam toward its destination of Basra, Iraq, after its cargo was checked. A top advisor to Soviet President
you and your iced tea.
No
matter what time of day it is.
They after Gorbachev hinted Iraq might be
when I smoked cigarettes so much, I was always so thirsty, and now it's just like a habit.
Oh, you...
Fired warning shots across the bow of the Iraqi merchant vessel Hamaraya in international waters adjacent to Masira Island in the North Arabian Sea.
Whoops.
Has been downgraded to a tropical storm.
So all this is done yourself, right?
Yeah.
Oh
yeah. Well, we all have an editor who helps with other things as well, like traffic and stuff like that. And they're able to do all this stuff, but I do it pretty much myself. I don't know why. I don't know.
Well, plus you're on the weekends too, right?
Well, I have Ned.
Okay.
You know, and she's down at the traffic center getting.
But it's really you and her then, right?
I'm gonna call it Caltrans and see what the deal is with that freeway closure thing. Hey, Netsky? Indio Springs. If I could have some. So I would like some tape. I'd like to use some recorded Caltrans spokespeople on tape for my first newscast. Well, obviously there's no traffic on the road. Are you directing calls to any other agency to answer questions on this? Okay, thank you. Nah, she's just dispatch.
What's wrong?
I'll just call the CHP watch officer.
Oh, okay.
Good morning, Highway Patrol. Liz Fulton at KFI. How are you today? Real good. I'm trying to find somebody who can give me a little story on the 5 closure this morning, and if you guys are doing anything special with it, you know, the whole 9 yards. Thanks. Yeah. Did you guys have to set up any contingency plans for getting motorists off if something happens? Do you have that phone number? I'm here by myself. I can't go out in the field. Yeah, I heard Mary Ellen over there this morning and I thought, rats. Not fair. 264. And what's your name? Tina. Gina. Gina, last name? All right, Gina, thanks a lot. Bye. We'll try another number.
Are you just going to use their conversation for
Yeah.
for cards for your news story?
Yeah, I'll cart those up the same way I did the network feeds. If I ever get anything. If I ever get anything worth it.
What was news gathering like at KISS? Was it basically rip and read kind of thing, or?
No, I rewrote everything, but anything that I did outside of rewriting wire copy was basically phone stuff. So nobody's going to answer here.
Is that the same for LA Speaks Out?
Oh, LA Speaks Out was, LA Speaks Out evolved from one show that was a really outstanding public affairs show, and we had some of the top authors. Basically, when I did it mainly with books. And so we had some just extraordinary authors. It sort of got pared down to a 15-minute show from an hour-long show years ago. So, but no, basically I did all the booking for that and all the interviews for that. I had engineering help, but I did all of it myself. Yeah. Well, let's see what we got here.
All kinds of road work. Okay, this? Okay, let's see. This is between 5 and 1. All northbound lanes of the Golden State Freeway between the Glendale and the 134 will be closed. All transition roads from north and southbound 5 will also be closed. We're going to have some Caltrans workers out there doing all kinds of road work. Potholes, electrical maintenance, box dots, graffiti, everything.
Graffiti.
Out cues.
Yeah. Yeah, at least this way I'll have like a local read story.
Between the Glendale and the freeway, between the Glendale. Okay, let's see. This is between 5 and 1. On the down lane to the Golden.
Oh, that's what she said.
See, this is between 5 and 1. All northbound lanes of the Golden State Freeway between the Glendale and the 134 will be closed. All transition roads from north and southbound 5 will also be closed. We're going to have some Caltrans workers out there doing all kinds of road work. Potholes, electrical maintenance, box dots, graffiti, everything.
Did you guys have to set up any contingency plans for getting motorists off if something happens?
Let's see. They said they were doing a media briefing on it.
That's about it. That's all she had to say. Okay.
All transition roads from north and southbound 5 will also be closed. We're going to have some Caltrans workers out there doing all kinds of road work. Potholes, electrical maintenance, box dots, graffiti, everything.
This is the hardest part.
Would you like your withholdings to cover any tax liability on non-wage income?
No. What the company does is they 1099 roughly half of my wages, and the other half they don't. Typically, 1099 get
All northbound lanes of the Golden State Freeway between the Glendale and the 134 will be closed. All transition roads from north and southbound 5 will also be closed. We're going to have some Caltrans workers out there doing all kinds of road work, potholes, electrical maintenance, box starts, graffiti, everything.
Okay, lead story.
Caltrans.
Yeah. Now, we have a numbering system here with numbered dots and numbered scripts. Whoops. And then, how about a little budget?
I'm happy it's over. We've been on this almost daily since the 27th of August.
And it's from Mutual?
Senate Republican leader Bob Dole expresses the view of hundreds of his fellow legislators, the sense of relief that finally what's considered a credible deficit-cutting budget has been passed by Congress.
Dated the 28th.
Leaders of both parties.
When I first worked at KISS, we had like a 4-person news department and things like that, and it was a pretty big operation. But my first newscast was typed up for me. I had a writer, so I would come in at like 5:50 in the morning, and he'd have a cup of coffee in one hand and the script in the other hand. You know, and basically that was the first newscast of the day. After that, when I was awake and functioning, we started, on the right routine.
But here everything's done by you.
Pretty much. We have an amazing staff of reporters and editors, too. I mean, we have Andy Friedman, Jane Norris, Monica Edwards, and then a couple of people who are in training right now to go out in the field. And I mean, they're just stunning. They put in a full day every day. In fact, one of them is going to be coming in on Sundays now, she started a couple of weeks ago. I can't remember which one. Oh, Jane Norris.
Jane Norris.
I can't remember, one of those two. Anyway, so it's basically, a lot of times during the week, the anchor is basically sort of just a producer, because you're putting together all the pieces of work that you're doing a lot of live stuff in the field and things like that. So during the week, it's a whole lot different even than on the weekends. During the week, you have access to a bunch of different stuff that you don't really have on the weekends.
How'd you get your start in radio?
I was going to college, and they had this radio station had an opening for a stringer. In those days, you got paid by the line.
What was a stringer?
A stringer, basically, was a person that comes from a newspaper, but it's a person who writes stories and gets paid by the line. A string of words. So basically, I just went out in the field every time there was a little fender bender or anything. This was at KOBO, Yuba City, the home of One Corona. And then, it was at a time when it was still kind of unusual to have women on the air, so they asked me if I wanted to do it, and I said sure.
Was it difficult for you as a woman, I guess, your career's gone to the #1 radio station, to your climax, and now you're here at KFI.
I've been really, really fortunate up to a point, and I'm sure you know what that point is. I was very fortunate up to that point. I just always happened to be at the right place at the right time, at the radio station that had an opening. When I needed a job, it's just a combination. It's 50% luck and 50% the rest of it. You could bust your butt for 10 years and never get a job,
How'd you get your job here at KFI?
I knew the news director from a radio station in Sacramento. I knew David G. Hall from Croy in Sacramento.
KROY.
Yeah.
Andy Rush worked there, I think, a while back.
Yeah, only I don't know if we were there at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah, so when I got fired from KISS, I called David up and I said, I need a job. Do you think I could still do news? And he said, sure, come on over. So, here I am.
Great.
Yeah, enjoyed it a lot. Large amount of my time looking for my dots.
News gathering's easy. It's just the dots, right?
Because I spend a lot of time looking for everything I put down. We just about have a newscast today.
Which will run how long?
4 minutes worth of news and 2 minutes worth of commercials. I have a real... I'll probably at some point think of a different way to start out the whole thing because it's not very exciting. Oh, you know what else I can do? I can call LAX and see how foggy it is out there today. Yesterday they had the airport closed till like 1 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh. Okay, we have a newscast now.
Cool. And now your editor's going to obtain the traffic, okay.
And probably, I picked out some other cuts from another news service that we have, the AP radio network. So she's going to dub these off for me and I promote too. So we'll have even more stuff. We just started doing something the other day that I thought was really interesting. When a reporter files a story, he'll give 2 different versions. What's called the wrap with the reporter and sound. He'll just feed the raw sound, which is just the tape of the subject. And then thirdly, they're going to be filing these kind of real impromptu sounding, just spoken stories about what the story is. Real ad-lib sounding kind of thing, but it'll be on tape. So I'll have three different ways of the story. I can pick one of 3 different ways that it's been filed to use in a newscast. So for instance, if I have a long newscast, 9 minutes, I'll use the reporter wrap because that'll be the longest one. If I have a short newscast, I'll use the tape and just write a story around it. And if I have like a headline, I'll just grab the 20-second little ad-lib thing and still have a reporter in that newscast. It's real interesting.
Good.
Now I have to get a weather. She hasn't come across yet.
And this is the wire back here.
Problem here. We have AP, City News Service, and API. And no weather. I'll take this.
So then everything's rewritten, nothing's rip and read.
Pretty much, although there's no particular reason. Like if I'm rushed for time, I'll grab a piece of copy and just read it.
Cool.
We try to stick to local news as much as possible, so it's all originated in here, except for the network stuff. But, so it's not rip and read, but nobody's going to shoot me if that's what I decide to do. Because every once in a while you get a piece of wire copy that's actually well written.
Yeah, why tamper with a good thing?
Yeah. Now we have a newscast. I think that all-important Southern California weather. So I'll go get my commercial, my tea, head on into the booth. Thank you for the call.
Great.
Every once in a while I get the old stumper here, and I can't really tell you how long you have.
This might also be.
What I would suggest to do if you want to recognize some tax at a lower tax rate is sell it now. Recognize the gain right now at the lower tax rate. And if you think there's substantial upside again, go out and reinvest the proceeds in the same stock and sell it at a future date.
Courtesy of Panasonic. That's the Raiders and the Packers at 1 o'clock on November 11th at the Coliseum. Game and season tickets for all 1990 Raiders home
They're not mine. I don't know whose they are.
Ooh.
I found them back there, so I just keep putting them back there.
And you keep hiding them, huh?
Let's see. 33. 1 minute.
KFI AM.
Now we just wait for 5 minutes, basically. So what class is this for?
Intro to mass media. What qualities would a news person have over, say, a disc jockey? I mean, obviously, they're both in broadcasting, but you have two definite, different careers here.
Well, sure. Radio is information and entertainment, and the disc jockey is the entertainment part, and the news person is the information part. Now, if you can work those two together, that's great. And I'm not saying that one person can only be information and one can only be entertainment, but that's basically the difference. You know, the news person is supposed to give a little bit of credibility to whatever other BS kind of stuff that...
Let's say I wanted to go out and be a news person. What qualities must I possess in order to be, I mean, here in Los Angeles, a major market?
Ooh, yeah, that's different because I didn't start out here. But basically you have to be extremely curious and a certain amount of some kind of weird drive that news people have that basically just lets you forget that your feet hurt when you've been up for a long time and stuff like that. I call it autopilot because whenever there's any big thing going on, you just go into this automatic kind of a mode, got to get the story out to the people. It's basically, that's what it is.
What type of education you think would be relevant for
I have
a
mass
position?
communications major. I didn't graduate from college. I started working when I was still going to college, and so I dropped out of school to earn a living. And it turned out fairly well for me. I would suggest other people do that, especially in L.A. In L.A., we get our people right straight out of the colleges. Loyola Marymount, USC, those are the two main ones. When I was doing an intern program, that's where I got my kids. My students, my news piggies. Fondly referred to them as. Because it's just kind of news is your life. You know, our news director, David Hall, is such a quiet, unassuming looking guy, but he's so into news. It's just like news is his life. We have some people here, traffic is their life.
Mark Dennis,
Mark Dennis, yeah. Not Ken, Mark and Mike, yeah.
What advice would you give someone who is just starting in radio, who's, at a junior college or a 4-year and wants to get into the business? What piece of advice could you give someone?
Find yourself a Yuba City or a Chico or a little tiny town somewhere, a Visalia or
a Blythe,
a Merced, a 29 Palms, whatever. Find yourself a little town like that has a radio station and be prepared to work for 22 hours a day for practically nothing. And then do that. And I'll guarantee you get a job.
Oh yeah.
Plus you'll learn a lot of the stuff that we do is just so much repetition and so much experience stuff. You learn how to tell what stories are important and which stories aren't, you learn how to write for a certain area. Like, I write a little bit differently for Southern California than I would, say, if I worked in Vermont. Mm-hmm. So that's my advice. Go to a little tiny town.
Familiarize yourself with that area as well.
Well, not so much that as just learn how to do everything.
Okay.
Learn how to be a reporter, learn how to be a writer, learn how to be a salesperson, learn how to be a jock, learn how to be a receptionist, learn how to do it all.
So that's where you make the mistakes, really, is in a small town.
Oh, honey, I made some of the most horrible mistakes. I mean, some of the things that I said, I can't even remember them now, fortunately. You probably have some of them on tape.
Yeah, I probably do.
By doing this,
I still haven't thought of a much better piece for this.
What are you going to use?
Well, I might come up with something at the very last second, but I'm really just going to use what I wrote.
Take away your credit card that you already have. They want your business. As long as you keep paying the bills, you can shove that in the garbage. They're just going to spit another one out. They're not going to say, well, Georgianne didn't send it in. Get rid of her credit card. They're not going to send a credit card police out to cut your card up.
They're not.
They don't pay your bill. So if it really unnerves you a lot, Georgianne, I would just toss it and move on to the next thing in life. And thanks a lot for calling, and call again next time. We can talk some more. Well, that wraps up the first hour of Talking Dollars. When we come back, we got chock full of information. We got the financial full power. We're going to talk about financial planning on the financial ticker tape. But right now, I'm going to take a break and go into...
Going to Griffith Park? Not on the Golden State Freeway. Good morning, I'm Liz Fulton with the KFI News at 9 o'clock. Caltrans experiment and a way to get road work done all at the same time. We'll have that story for you, but first a look at those freeways. Golden State southbound north of Alameda, 3-car accident, first reports there. On the Long Beach Freeway southbound north of Atlantic, we have an accident. There are injuries involved here. It's in the left traffic lane. That's an injury accident, Long Beach southbound north of Atlantic. On the northbound side of the Long Beach Freeway, north of Willow Street, car there has gone off the roadway into the bushes. 605 northbound, north of the Santa Monica Freeway, an accident there. And on the Hollywood Freeway southbound, south of Vineland, a 2-car accident there. That's the latest from the KFI Traffic Center. KFI News time is 9:01. And here's what's happening right now. It is traffic related. Caltrans wanted to try something new for a number of different reasons, shutting down the Golden State Freeway.
The Golden State Freeway between the Glendale and the 134 will be closed. All transition roads from north and southbound 5 will also be closed. We're going to have some Caltrans workers out there doing all kinds of road work, potholes.
Gina Chris is with the California Highway Patrol. Caltrans decided to try this approach for safety reasons, first of all. You know, the Caltrans workers are in a very dangerous situation every time they get out there to fix something. And also to save money. It costs about 1/3 to do it all at once, 1/3 of what it would if they'd spread it out over 3 or 4 nights. So, northbound Golden State between the Glendale Freeway and the Ventura Freeway closed until 1 o'clock this afternoon. The 101st Congress headed home from work today knowing that even though it took almost a month, they'd done their job. They had presented President Bush with a budget.
We've been on this almost daily since the 27th of August, and now it's finished.
Senate Republican leader Bob Dole expresses the view of hundreds of his fellow legislators, the sense of relief that finally what's considered a credible deficit-cutting budget has been passed by Congress. Leaders of both parties admit the final months of the 101st Congress have been turbulent. They know the Americans are angry. Still, they insist it's been a productive session, what with passage of a clean air bill, child care legislation, and more.
Very quickly indeed, since most of those lawmakers faced re-election within the next 10 days. Al Freeman adds that President Bush will most likely sign this measure, even though he said parts of it make him gag, especially the tax increase parts. A 4-year-old boy left in a bedroom for a nap at a neighbor's home found a gun in that bedroom yesterday afternoon and shot himself in the head. He died a short time later. The boy and his mom had been visiting friends. It's not likely that criminal charges will be filed here. And a church in Dallas has set up a hell house for Halloween. Reporter Judy Hanna has more on the house that lets people go to heaven and hell.
Denominational church in Garland has put together a haunted house that is truly designed to scare the hell out of you. It's called Hell House, A Glimpse of Eternity, and it emphasizes the reality of death and the prospect of different sorts of afterlife. A walk through hell includes a bit of time in your own coffin with the lid shut, and a look in on a drug party with the user's actions controlled by demons. Another fun exhibit is a satanic ritual of
10-year-old Sheena Jennings got quite a surprise last week. She received a personal response to a letter that she had written to the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Colin Powell. The Antioch 5th grader wanted to know whether or not she'd still have to go to school if the Persian Gulf crisis escalates into a war. Well, Powell wrote back that yes, she would still have to go to school, but he said, let's you and I and everybody else that we get help for pray hard that there isn't any war. Did you remember to change your clock last night? Did you remember to turn it back an hour? KFI News time is 9:04.
Walked into Home Savings to ask about home loans, and all they could say was no. I said, do I have to pay points? They said no. I said, do I have to pay an application fee? They said no. I said, do I have to pay an appraisal fee?
Seems easy, but I'm sure it's not.
Outrageous interest rate? They said no. I said, would I have to pay all these things on a refinance loan? They said no.
Yeah, it seems easy.
They asked me if I wanted a loan.
Out of order or something, you know.
What could I do? I said, yes.
Home Savings is an equal housing lender. See your loan office for details and restrictions.
They say being young is so carefree, but it just wasn't for me. I remember when all the other girls were buying bras, people kept mistaking me for a boy. So to cheer me up, my mother bought me this bathing suit. It was white with red embroidery, but it did have cuffs, so I couldn't wait to wear it. Until I looked in the mirror. There was this stick with arms and legs, and you could see from a mile away I had absolutely no use for the cops. So there really wasn't much about that time I wanted to keep, except, I guess, my sense of the absurd, the way I could eat anything without getting fat, and, something
effectively replenishing
your skin's natural moisture. Nivea.
Southland weather from KFI. Very dense fog along the coast, about 1 mile visibility in some areas, but there will be sunshine. Not as much of it since it's going to start getting dark around 5 o'clock, but hazy afternoon sunshine anyway. Beach highs near 70, low to mid-80s everywhere else. Another reminder, all northbound lanes of the Golden State Freeway from the Glendale Freeway, the 2, to the Ventura Freeway, the 134, are completely closed down for maintenance. That will be till 1 o'clock. Right now at 9:06, it's 59 degrees in Newhall and Burbank, and in Los Angeles, we're up to 64 degrees. I'm Liz Fulton, KFI News. Right on the nose.
Second Q and reporter Alan Little out Q included.
They're emphasizing that there's still nothing to discuss until Iraq withdraws from Kuwait, and that that's the view of the entire international community, Mr. Primakov included.
At number 41, 14 second Q, reporter Alan Little out Q in the middle.
Soviet diplomats are optimistic about the Primakov mission. The Soviet Union, they say, does not want a war in which Iraq is defeated by a predominantly American force. That will damage the Soviet Union's long-term strategic position in the Middle East.
At number 43, 11 second actuality, Dare County Emergency Management spokeswoman Gwen White out to you tomorrow morning.
This is for 10 o'clock.
Temporary power by generator. They are beginning the construction on the line.
See, I don't think I can use this because I don't even know.
We should have that back by tomorrow morning.
I didn't get the billboard for this. I don't know what any of these are about.
And that concludes this edition of the Virtual News Feed for 12:05 p.m.
I understand that, and what I will do...
Hi, Jeff. Lots of things going on Southland freeways, except for one. That would be the Golden State northbound from the Glendale Freeway to the Ventura Freeway. That's completely closed down, and it'll remain that way till 1 o'clock. They're trying to squeeze as many types of road improvements into that little 5-hour stretch as possible. Accidents, Riverside eastbound east of Cole Canyon. There's metal debris in the first 2 lanes there. On the Artesia Freeway eastbound at Carmenita, 2-car accident there. Harbor Freeway northbound at Vernon, 2-car accident over to the right shoulder. A little spectator slowing there. On the southbound Golden State Freeway north of Alameda, we have a 3-car accident. And on the Long Beach Freeway southbound, just north of Atlantic Boulevard, an injury accident there, mainly over to the left lane. 605 northbound, north of the Santa Ana Freeway, that accident is being cleared out now. And the southbound Hollywood Freeway, south of Vineland, 2-car accident being cleared as well. Still pretty foggy out there in some areas. KFI keeps you on top of traffic. I'm Liz Fulton in the KFI Traffic Center. That's one of the reasons why I listen on a phone, is because of the real-time, fake-time thing, but I don't know what it means.
To a certain extent, what they want corresponds to what Saddam wants too.
France and the Soviet Union were once close allies.